intro.
Hello, hi. We've got Nikki there as well. Hello, Nikki. Thank you for joining us. Nikki's one of our speakers today. Nikki, would it be okay if we'll do your cam and mic off for now, Nikki, as we do our introductions, and then we'll bring you in a bit later on. Okay, thank you so much, and thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. So that was Nikki. Nikki is one of our speakers today, Nikki Edwards. Nikki is a personal wellness coach, and Nikki's joining us today, as well as Paul Needham and Pippa Belstein from Wiltshire Council. And Pippa is a health coach. Paul is a public health practitioner who leads on weight management services for Wiltshire Council. So we've got some really, really good speakers here today with us. So we really appreciate them to talk to us about obesity, diet, weight management, sort of that physical health and well-being as part of our series.
We've got to give an introduction to ourselves, actually, haven't we?
Yeah, we should, yeah. But who are we, mysterious pair?
So good morning, everyone. My name is Rob Creer. I'm the manager here at Swindon Wiltshire Growth Hub. And yeah, great to be here on our second of the wellbeing in the workplace topics, which is, as Laura said, obesity and diet. So Laura, you are?
I am Laura.
You are Laura.
So I'm Laura Arlott, and I am skills lead here at the Growth Hub. So I sort of lead on all things to do with skills, and also obviously involved in the Wellbeing for the Workplace series, something really important to us, and supporting our local business community and individuals at work. So like Rob said, this is the second in our series. We had a session previously around smoking and addiction. That was also very, very good session, and we do have that recorded and up on YouTube if people would like to access that, as well as this session will be, as well as our future sessions will be as well. So please do look out for those too.
So we'll start off by handing over to Paul and Nick and Pippa.
Paul and Pippa.
Paul and Pippa, get that right.
Paul and Pippa.
Nikki, would you mind just switching your camera off a second? Thank you very much. Okay, so here we have Paul.
Here we have Paul.
Hi,
and first, if you'd like to just introduce yourselves to everyone and what it is that you do. Thank you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for inviting us today. This is a great opportunity for us to obviously talk to people about what we do as a job, but also hopefully give you some information that you can take away with you. And if you do ever want to obviously speak to us, we can obviously, the networking is available there as well. So my name is Paul Needham. I am a public health practitioner at Wiltshire Council. And like Laura and Rob said, my service area is weight management and physical activity. So I run the Healthy Us group sessions and Healthy Me sessions, which are Healthy Us is for adults and the Healthy Me is for children and families. And I'll pass you on to Pippa.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Pippa Belstein, one of the health coaches within sort of the health improvement team, and I tend to sort of work either one-to-one or groups sort of with clients. Quite a lot of the work is weight management or healthy eating, diet, smoking, emotional well-being. So I kind of do a whole sort of general sort of area, and I'm also now starting going into workplaces and businesses to try and go through and support the managers and help support their employees and their well-being, and keep them as healthy as possible in work. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, thank you. Pippa's also got her cat on her lap, so that the cat might make an appearance. But we haven't been introduced formally to the cat. I don't know what the cat's name is, Pippa.
The cat is called Nova, and yeah, she's finally sort of settled down. So I'm hoping she's going to be settled for the rest of it. But if you see a random cat show up, it is her. It's not a weird animation sort of coming up on the screen or anything.
That's Nova the health cat.
Yeah.
That's all right. She's a mascot. Okay, so you'll see you'll see Paul and Pippa's presentation. Lots of P's there for me to trip over as a presenter. So you'll see that up on your screens now, and Paul has control of that and is going to talk us through this. I had a quick look through it as I sent it over, and it looks like really great information in there. I already learned a lot, so I'm really looking forward to hearing you speak around it. And yeah, so I'll pass over to you. Thanks so much.
Just one before we go as well. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and there will be an opportunity to ask Paul and Pippa some questions after their presentation. Of course, the main thing about these sessions is to take away information which might be useful in your organisation and with your people. So yeah, on that note, over to Paul and Pippa.
Hi, thank you very much, Rob. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, so our presentation's obviously on obesity and weight management. We've kind of set it out that we'll go through a bit of the statistics as such, why that would relate to you from a business point of view or a workplace. And then we'll also go into actually, about healthy eating and how it's important for those individuals who do work in your workplace, or for those individuals who may work there but also in their personal lives, because obviously that can have an effect on the workplace and stuff. So like I said, I'm a public health practitioner. I work in the Wiltshire Health Improvement Hub, which we will have a link to at the end, and we'll explain a little bit more about what that is and what we offer from Wiltshire Council as a service. And like Pippa was saying as well, she is going to be looking at more workplace health. So, a great person to have or to contact if that's something that you're interested in. So just moving on to the next slide. So what hopefully we'll go through, well, what we will go through, and hopefully you'll get some information from, is all these different topics and subjects. So obesity levels, why this is relevant for you at work as an employee and as an employer. What is a healthy balanced diet? How it affects your energy levels, concentration and mood. Moving on to sort of a balanced diet and the effects on weight, and some top tips for being healthy at work. And those tips can sort of move into the home as well, or your personal life. So hopefully, like I said, you'll get some really good valuable information that you can maybe take home with you as well. And then a little bit of signposting and questions at the end. What we've done is and we don't mean to be in any way derogatory to anyone, we've kept it quite sort of low level and just easy to understand, because sometimes that can be more important than trying to get too scientific about things. It's about having those handy tips, and as a service, that's what we try and provide. We're all about behavior change and trying to change someone's habits, rather than trying to give them lots of different information, trying to give them lots of solutions and overloading, and then someone going away and going, I can't put that into practice. How am I going to do that? So hopefully it will be at a level that would suit a lot of people, and that people can actually take away and think, yes, I can implement that into my life. So just a little bit around statistics around the Southwest and obesity levels. This is taken from NHS England and the NHS Improvement 2021. So it's a little bit, it's 3 years now, but it gives a good sort of indication of what we're talking about when we're talking about adults who are classed as overweight or obese. And overweight is usually 28 on a BMI and above. So that was right, wasn't it, Pippa?
Yeah.
So as England as a whole, it's 62%, and then you can see the Southwest is 61%, Bath and North East Somerset 51, Swindon 65, and Wiltshire 60. Now, me obviously being from Wiltshire, I know the population is about 500,000 last on the census, I believe. So 60% is quite a significant amount of people that is classed as overweight or obese. When we talk about the implications of being overweight and obese on health and how you feel maybe at work, it doesn't always mean that just because you're overweight you you're unhealthy. It's more the impact that it can have, or potentially can have, at that time, or maybe in longer term. So when you're sort of older, as an older adult, and the long-term conditions that it can obviously do, how you may get from having excess weight, like coronary heart disease, diabetes, anything like that, the pressure on the joints, bone, bad backs. We see all that through people being classed as overweight or obese. So you can imagine that it can have a really big impact on businesses or just people's lives in general. So from NHS England, a healthy and balanced diet is critical to preventing ill health and disease, and the annual cost for food-related ill health to the NHS is estimated at 5.8 billion. So it's quite a significant amount of money. So just taking some simple little steps, hopefully that can help people on their way to a healthier life and a healthier lifestyle when they're older, and when they obviously maybe retire as well, which obviously a lot of people want to have good quality life after their retirement. So anything that they can do now is obviously going to be a benefit for them in later life. So this is from Public Health England. So managing health at work for employers. So why is this relevant to you? So in the UK, 131 million working days are lost to sickness absence every year, and the main reason for the sickness absence is minor illnesses. So you probably hear coughs and colds, musculoskeletal problems, like I said, so joints, bad back, anything like that. And then obviously emotional well-being would be stress, depressions and anxieties. And 1 in 3 employees with long-term health condition may have not even discussed it with their employer, which is quite sad. You'd hope that people can come to you as an employer and be able to sort of tell you about their medical conditions that they may have, and how you as an employer can help. And this is obviously hopefully why you're here today, to have some tips of how you can assist them. But it just goes to show that, I mean, it's having sort of a big effect on the workplace. And all these elements, as much as you may think, well, how is that related to healthy eating and stuff, do, like I said in just the last point, is they do all have, obviously minor illnesses, coughs and colds. If you're not eating a healthy diet and getting your vitamins, minerals and good nutrition, then that can obviously have an effect on your immune system. Having excess weight can obviously also have an effect on your bones, so your joints, and then also types of food that you eat actually can affect your stress levels, depression and anxiety. Sorry, Pippa, you just going to
I was just going to say, what's also sort of quite interesting about this one is that obviously the 14.3 million days lost for stress, depression, anxiety, sort of those mental health ones, is that probably realistically is those minor illnesses are based from the sort of the repercussions from stress, depression, anxiety.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in a lot of workplaces, although there's still this stigma around with mental health, and don't want to talk about it, especially us Brits, we always just say we're fine. I mean, how many times we've gone into a meeting and people do that generally, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine, I'm good, when really you might not be. And quite often it's the implications for when you are feeling stressed or anxious, or you're feeling really low, that can lead to more of these minor illnesses. And as well with lacking sort of taking the care within the food that you're eating as well, it's you tend to sort of crave more of the high sugary type foods, because that's going to give you that sort of dopamine boost, make you feel better in that moment. So I think it's really interesting that although that number is up there, it probably realistically is higher if it's actually linked back to the cause of why they were actually off for those sort of illnesses, is that it probably is more of that mental health and mood, as there is such a massive strong connection with food and mood and how it does make us feel, which I thought was just adding on that one. But
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Pippa. That's why you're here, to add those bits in. That was perfect. And that is very, very true. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Okay, so just again, why is it relevant to you? Public Health England, just showing sort of the health and work cycle. So obviously, we all know, if you have a healthier workforce and you've got that good worker health, productivity at work, business competitiveness, economic development and prosperity, and social well-being and wealth. So as an employer, having a good employees who are feeling well, feeling happy, coming to work, obviously these are an effect. So, and obviously this is obviously a really good thing for you as an employer, but fundamentally, it's making sure that your workforce is feeling well and they feel safe, secure, that they can talk about medical issues, and you can put things in place to help them combat different illnesses through their diets and healthy eating and activity. So what is a healthy balanced diet? Well, it can be lots and lots of different things, really. I mean, if you go and Google healthy balanced diet, you'll probably find that you'll come up with lots and lots of different things, and sometimes there's lots of conflicting things. So what we're going to do, we're taking this from Public Health England and the sort of nice guidelines and just evidence-based. And when I mean evidence-based, it's things that have actually been tried and tested with the public. It's been researched. Yes, there might be some grey areas and people have their own opinions, but as a service, this is what we would deliver. We would deliver this kind of contents, and hopefully it would give a good fundamental knowledge for people who want to sort of start looking into this, and for their workforce or for their own personal use. So nutrition, what is nutrition? It's a process of consuming food that is then used for growth, metabolism and repair. So we use lots of food for our energy and building our muscles, keeping us strong, moving nutrients around our body for our blood. So you can know that it is a vital part of us and for us to exist, really. So good nutrition means that you are eating a range of foods that give you the nutrients you need in order to maintain your health, to feel good and to have energy. Eating a healthy balanced diet is an important part of maintaining good health. A balanced diet means consuming adequate amounts of micronutrients, so that's the main sort of nutrients of proteins, carbohydrates and fats, micronutrients, vitamins and minerals that you may get from your fruit and veg. And then I never can pronounce this one. Can you pronounce this? Chemicals from plants. Anyway, it is also important.
Chemicals.
That's it. There we go. It's also important to get fiber and water in your diet. Fiber is really it's a massive topic at the moment, and probably lots of people have heard about gut health and how the gut can be just as much important as your brain health and your heart health as well. So, but again, not going too much into that, but fiber as a substance is really good for that. So fiber intake can increase by eating whole grains. So whole grains is really it's not been refined too much. It's what it says. It's whole grain. It's not been, parts of it haven't been taken away. So when you eat an apple, as an example, an apple is an apple. It's not really been stripped. If you had an apple and it was all cut up into pieces and the skin was taken off and it was cored, then you'd start to be refining that food. So that's when we talk about processed and refined food, that's what we mean. So whole foods are foods that really look what they are when you eat it. So whole grain versions of carbohydrates and plenty of vegetables, including beans and lentils. And just putting at the end, drinking water. Drinking water is so important. Massive advocate of drinking water. I know not everyone likes it, so you can have some juice. Tea and coffee, we do say is part of it, but if you can drink water, your body is made up of water massively. So if you can drink water, it is so good for you, for lots of different things. I could talk forever about drinking water. So
and it definitely helps with, because quite often, I mean, I know I've had it before when I was younger, and parents or grandparents said, "Oh, you're not really hungry, you're just thirsty, you know, have a drink first." And annoyingly, they are always right. But it is really important, because quite often we do mix thirst with hunger. We do feel hungry, but we're not actually hungry. But in terms of keeping everything balanced, just is so key and important. And I mean, I'm sure you've potentially been on different diets, Slimming World, Weight Watchers, and they sort of talk about good foods and bad foods, whereas really there is no such thing as good foods and bad foods, because if they were bad food, they wouldn't be making it. It wouldn't be out there in production for us to consume. The difference is its nutritional value and what we're actually going to gain from that food. And having too much of one thing is going to be bad for us. Like if we're just going to have salad and broccoli all day, every day, we're not getting those other nutritional elements. So really, although, you know, salad, broccoli is seen as a healthy food, just eating that, we're not going to get the nutrition and the minerals that we need to be healthy. So technically that will then be classed as unhealthy if that's all what you eat. The same if you just eat like your cinnamon rolls. If you only eat cinnamon rolls every single day, that's also not going to be healthy. But it is okay to have that balance of everything within your diet, so you don't feel that you're almost missing out on anything, and then you don't have those sort of strong urges or cravings to almost binge out on all of these sort of sugary carbohydrate sort of filled, basically everything that's nice really in life. You don't feel as guilty when you eat that, because it is all part of that balanced diet. It's that bit of give and take to keep everything really balanced and maintained, which is what a lot of people sort of often forget, that it's not just restricting yourself to the bare minimum. It is making sure that you have those carbohydrates and you have that sort of protein and the fruit and veg within pretty much every single meal that you have, as it all has its important part to you know, keep you well and provide you with that energy.
yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Pippa, again. And as you can see on the picture of the Eat Well guide, you can see the larger areas are the areas that you probably have more of those types of food with your fruit and veg and your carbohydrates, your whole grain. And on the outside, you can see just in the bottom on the screen, bottom left-hand corner, you've got your crisps and your biscuits and snacks. And it's like Pippa said, there's when I work with children, I never say to them, you can't have that. It's about how much of that, and portion control is probably more important than anything else, about trying to, like Pippa said, trying to take stuff away and not eat that, because you'll just end up craving it, and it's probably better to have that balanced diet. So moving on, so how does this affect our energy levels, concentration, mood? So everyone's probably heard about blood glucose levels and how food can sort of make you feel really high, and like Pippa was saying earlier, it gives you that boost and then you drop. So hopefully you can see on the screen. So when we talk about the blood glucose levels and the effect, what we're really saying is about some foods will spike your glucose levels up, so it gives you that quick rush of energy. You'll feel really sort of alive, but it's used quite quick, so then you'll dip down really quickly, and then what you naturally does is, it's an instinct, is to then go, oh, I need some more sugar, or and usually that will come from those refined or processed, ultra processed foods, that are the foods like, you know, your chocolate, the good food, like Pippa said. So yeah, do apologize, all those nice things that you do like to eat and stuff. So what you want to try and do is have that middle line, if you can see that just slightly wavy line, where your levels won't go too high or dip too low. It'll be more of a steady, and they will be your whole grain types of food and stuff, and your carbohydrates. So that's where you kind of want to be. And obviously in the workplace, that'll be, you know, you're working for maybe 8-9 hours a day. That's, you know, you don't want to be sort of peaking and then feeling really sluggish. And we all know it after lunchtime, especially if we've had our lunch, you know, and we've had maybe a chocolate bar or a packet of crisps or something like that, or some white bread, you will feel that dip, and that's really what it is. So with regards to sort of concentration and mood, obviously, you know, all those good nutrients that Pippa's sort of said about just helps with your mood, your energy, your brain function, and depending what type of job you do, whether it's behind a laptop or you're sat around a lot, or you're sort of manual work where you're sort of standing up a lot, you want to be concentrating, you want to have that energy, you want to have a good mood, because obviously it's going to get you through the day and it's going to make you feel better in it. So trying to get enough of those fruit and veg, 5 a day, it is a lot. Some people say, what is 5 a day? But what I always say is, if you can eat some fruit and you can eat some veg, I wouldn't worry too much if you're thinking, oh, is this definitely 5 a day? It's about getting that into you and knowing that you are putting the right stuff in and you're getting that balanced diet. Obviously, we won't talk too much about alcohol, but alcohol is a depressant. Obviously, it does disturb your sleep, so obviously that can have an effect. Obviously, it can have an effect on your mood, especially if you're going into work and you're drinking the night before, even if it's a small amount. And obviously it can dehydrate your body. So like I was saying about water, if you're drinking alcohol, it will sap that water from you in a sense, and obviously those essential nutritions as well. So Pippa, did you want to add anything? Because I know you.
I was just going to say sort of slightly around like the alcohol one, that I'm sure potentially for many people that when you've had a really hard day at work, you naturally just, you want to sit down with a beer, glass of wine, whatever your go-to drink is. And because it does make you feel temporarily good, it does sort of take the edge of everything. We can't deny that. We all know how sort of alcohol makes us feel when we do drink it. But then when we have too much alcohol, it disturbs our sleep. So we don't have that REM sleep, that sort of rapid eye movement, which is the important kind of sleep that almost helps our body process sort of everything throughout the day. And that's also the time where our body is almost breaking down all of those foods that we've eaten throughout the day and putting that into its different energy sources, almost sort of sending it off into different areas, because our body's not focusing too much on, keeping ourselves alive and moving and doing anything. We're at that time of rest. We're still, all it needs to focus, keep your heartbeat sort of going nice and steady, breathing nice and steady. So when you don't have that REM sleep or that deep sleep, it can almost disrupt that. And I always sort of use little analogies, and I always imagine like the little people from the Gaviscon adverts sort of around, sort of sending people off into different areas of processing your food. Whereas if you have that disturbed sleep, it's going to stop those sort of food being processed, being broken down, and that's when it gets stored as fat. Is almost right, we'll deal with you later, we need to focus on sort of getting this sleep okay. Then you've had a bad night's sleep, you wake up, you feel really tired in the morning, you don't feel too great, but you still have to go to work. And it's almost that endless sort of cycle that can be really tricky to get out of, that you're using alcohol as that tool to sort of make you feel better, but then it always makes you feel worse throughout the day. And we all know if we've had not a good night's sleep, it can really affect our work, and all we want to do is sleep and not be there, and our productivity goes down a lot. It's one of those sort of things, it can just impact work and the workplace so much, and it's just one that to be really careful and mindful for. Especially alcohol has calories in there as well, and it's one of those things that we often forget with sort of weight loss or calories in and out. And I know we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second, but you're essentially drinking the calories rather than eating it. And when we drink stuff, we don't necessarily think that that's calories going into our body, but alcohol definitely does have a lot of calories, and sometimes even just dropping out all the alcohol you can have a massive impact on sort of weight and as well as your mood as well.
Thank you, Pippa. So moving on, so we're just going to say about sort of the balanced diet effect. So obviously on the left hand side, you've got your recommended daily nutrition intake, so salt, fiber, and saturated fat, sugar free, protein, and fruit and veg. So they're sort of the targets that you want to be aiming. Obviously fiber at least, so that's not a maximum. Salt and saturated fat you wouldn't want to try and go over. And a good rule of thumb sometimes I've used with, especially with children and stuff and adults, is when you're looking at sort of on the back of packets, it's per 100 grams. So if it's under sort of 5 grams, then it's usually classed as like green, so like a traffic light system. If it's 5 to 10, I know it's slightly different now, but I've always kept this one because it's quite easy to follow. 5 to 10 it's sort of amber, and then 10 and above it's red. And it is very hard to find products, especially nowadays with marketing and stuff. Some products do shout out I'm really healthy, when actually when you start looking into it, they're not as healthy as they can be. Like going back to the processed food, sometimes they can be heavily processed. So if you want a snack, try and have a fruit or some veg snacks. That really that is the best thing. Just going back to what sort of contributes to weight gain, 3 main components. Obviously there is a lot of factors, and we can talk all day about those, but processed foods, high in sugar, fat, alcohol, like we've said, and then lack of movement, so inactivity. If you can imagine, we can be sat down for majority of our day and only maybe get up a few times, especially if we're working. If you're sort of manual worker and you're standing on your feet, then you've obviously got more of a chance to be moving around, but even then you could be just stood in one place, and then you might go home and then sit down for the rest of the evening. So it's about trying to get up, and we'll talk about this in a bit, those little moments that you can get up or use the stairs to go to the toilet, instead of just going to the toilet on the same level that you're on. So really when we talk about balanced diet, as you can see on these 2 scales, if you're eating lots of food and you're sitting and not moving around much, naturally you're going to be sort of adding weight to your body, or could be. And then the opposite is if you're not eating enough and you're doing lots and lots of stuff, you could probably potentially go the other way and be underweight, which isn't always a good thing. So when we talk about weight, like I said at the start, being overweight doesn't mean that you're unhealthy, because being underweight can sometimes mean that you are unhealthy. So it's just that there has been evidence and research into people who are carrying extra weight that it can have longer term health implications, which obviously no one would want. So we'll move on to the next one. This is another one from Public Health England, and this is just about takeaways, and just sort of put it in there just to show, obviously everyone likes to have a takeaway. It's a bit of a treat, it's convenient. We have that association with when we were younger, maybe going to the cinema and you'd then go and have a pizza or something. Or I know with my parents, we used to watch the wrestling or something on a Saturday, and my dad would go and get some fish and chips. So it's there, and we can't remove it from our diet, because that's living. So but just to put it in perspective, that's some if you look on this slide, how high in fats, sugars, how much people are consuming as well of takeaways and convenience. Yes, nowadays there is healthier takeaways, which that's really good, and I mean that's a really good thing that companies are doing now. But it is one of those things that if you can reduce as much as you can, and you do save quite a bit of money, because takeaways aren't cheap anymore. So obviously it's cheaper than eating out, but if you can, then you got a good chance of saving a bit of money as well on top of that. So moving on. So Pippa, do you want to do this top tips?
Yeah. So it's just weird. The cat's now repositioning herself when she was sat still all this time. So it's just some things that you can do, either try and ensure as a manager, sort of within your sort of staff that you're working with, or even just for you as a general employee, making sure that you try and sort of stick to these things. And it's always very tempting on Friday to have those sort of cakes or biscuits sort of coming in, or the donuts, that almost Friday treat. But again, when we're talking about those energy spikes, we might have it in the morning, we might have it in the afternoon, we have that energy, we peak up, and then we just crash back down. So our level of productivity is quite small on that one. So it could be, rather than sort of having those cakes and biscuits, you know, have those fruit baskets, or, you know, the fruit salad, something there that you can just easily grab and pick. And it also then makes it easier for people who perhaps want to sort of be a little bit healthier, and it's not going to be there in temptation seeing all of these nice foods. Because if we have an option, if someone's going to give us an apple or a chocolate bar, you know, we'll probably want to have a chocolate bar because, I mean, it's a chocolate bar. So having that temptation not there can be a really beneficial thing as well. And then it limits it down to, if you really want those sort of cakes and sweet stuff, is to make sure that you bring it in yourself and sort of restrict it just for you, although it's nice and caring, sort of sharing it out sort of to the team. But it's also then supporting sort of other colleagues as well, if, you know, they perhaps might not want to do it, because it's always hard to say no if a donut's been wafted in front of your face. And it could also be things, you know, offer sort of schemes at work or vouchers, and like healthy food sort of type one. I mean, every employment has sort of different things that they could potentially offer. It could be that you might have a partnership with a certain sort of food place, or even that it could be that once a week that you do go out and have sort of those healthier foods, or you bring it in, and just sort of making those things so it's a little bit easier. And because food, especially sort of the healthier foods, can be sort of quite expensive to buy, so almost having that little bit of incentive can be sort of really beneficial. And again, with that lack of movement, that reminder to sort of move every hour, especially if you are sort of desk based and constantly sitting by your computer, it's so easy just to not move for hours and hours and hours. I mean, the only time you potentially would move is, you know, if you need to get a drink or you need to go to the toilet. So it's so easy for us just to stay still. So even just setting a reminder on like your Outlook, something to go off on your emails, or even just your phone, a normal sort of reminder, just to sort of remind you, even if it's just getting up, walking 5 minutes, if it could be, if you're in the office, walking from one end of the building to the other end of the building and then going back down. Every little bit of movement is going to be so beneficial for you. Same, tracking your steps. It's always very motivational, especially if you've got like one of the Fitbit type watches or a Garmin. It can definitely be really motivational to almost see how much, you know, you've been walking or moving throughout the day. And it could almost be that sort of setting it up as a team goal as such, and having those sort of little mini task or exercise that you as a team can sort of work towards and improve on. And it could be, you know, the person or a little group of people work as a team of however many steps that they do within the day, then gets a reward. And it could be that, I don't know, they're rewarded by, they get a gift voucher for, you know, a restaurant or something that they can go out as a treat, or their reward could be that, you know, they've got a day off one day that, you know, that's sort of paid for. So it's little mini incentives as well that could sort of really help. Plus, when you've got other people involved as well in the team, makes that competitive sort of going more, and it helps make you want to sort of do more. If you know that sort of Sally sort of down the road, I say down the road, down the table I should say, not so down the road, is sort of getting and hitting at least her 10,000 steps, whereas, you know, John might only be doing his 5,000. He might be thinking, oh God, you know, Sally's doing really, really well here. I need to sort of help beat with that one. And like we were saying, go into the toilet that's further away, you know, don't go to the one that's close to you, don't go to the kitchen that's sort of close to you. Obviously, if you do work from home, you are sort of very limited, but it could be that rather than going straight from one room to another room, if you need to go to the toilet, do a lap around your house or something, or go up and down the stairs a bit before you sort of go to the toilet, or whilst your kettle's sort of been boiled. Things like, see, portion sizes, again, and Paul, we've already sort of spoken about, so we won't go too much more into that one. Setting mini goals, or keeping a food diary, sort of tracking that down, because quite often if we write down the things that we're having in a day, we tend to not snack away too much, because someone's like, oh, you know, that's Mars bar number 3 that I've had today, and you almost feel a bit guilty when you have to write that down, even though it's not going to anyone, it's just for yourself. So sometimes keeping that food diary can be sort of really beneficial. Or cycle to work schemes, incentivize, you know, having that exercise to work and that travel and that commute into work can be really beneficial. And having that sort of glass of water, or having a bottle of water sort of with you, again, if you're not exactly water, then, you know, squash, especially when we have our caffeinated drinks. And I mean, if you're anything like me, I drink a lot of coffee throughout the day, and although it's lovely, it's great, I am getting hydration from that, but the caffeine in there, it can affect some people more than others. So having that sort of water there to sort of help balance out everything, and almost sort of thinking at every one sort of hot drink or caffeinated drink you have, you should really have a glass of water with you. And it's so much easier when you do bring your lunch in from work. No, bring your lunch to work from home. So you know exactly what it is that you're going to have, because buying food out and about, sort of the meal deals or popping off to Greg's, you know, you haven't really got much options or that variety, and you tend to go for whatever's easier and convenient, which normally is more of sort of the processed sort of type stuff. So bring it in, you know exactly what you're having, and you know you can make it as healthy as possible. And eating food away from your desk, it's so easy just to sit there and eat whilst you're working, just thinking, that's fine, I've got lots of work to do, I'm just going to eat away. But when you're eating whilst you're doing something else, you almost don't appreciate that food that you are eating. So you tend to eat more, you feel more hungry, because you're not there sort of sitting down at a table, actually thinking about the food that you're eating and actually enjoying it. It's just so easy. I mean, think about if you're on the sofa at night, it's so easy when you've got the chocolate there and to sort of pick away at the chocolate whilst you're watching the TV, and the next thing you know, you've eaten the whole bar because you haven't really sort of appreciated that chocolate. So it's really good that if you don't do it already, to eat away from your desk. If there's like a kitchen area, and it's important that managers should really try and encourage that for their employees, to have that time away from the desks to eat, and definitely sort of set off that example as well, because it is so easy for managers sort of being busy to go, I'll just grab a quick bite to eat, and you know, I'll just eat whilst I'm working or eat during this meeting. But to really sort of set that precedent of, you know, you should eat away from your desk, and having perhaps a list of what's close to you of healthier sort of food alternatives, or even having a list, if you've got if your closest store to you is Tesco's, let's say, what the healthiest kind of meal deal is, because sometimes we do forget to make and bring home sort of food from home and bring that into work. Busy lives, hectic, so sometimes we do just need to go out and grab something quick. So having those sort of varieties and options, and knowing it ahead of time, it's easier to go that if you've got a list of options going, right, okay, I know that this sandwich is going to be better for me, I'll go with this snack, this drink. Just having those sort of lists around, or even sort of if it is a takeaway sort of type, sort of fast food, quick one, to have those sort of healthier ones around. So it's just easier, and the more you know about what foods are going to be better for you, the easier it is to going to be able to eat them. Because again, if we're busy trying to sort of find something to eat whilst we're at working, we're not going to be there spending the time looking at the packets and the nutritional information on the food. We're just going to be grabbing and going, being as quick as possible to then go back to work. So that's just a few sort of, I mean, there's so many different tips and things that you can do, and it all just depends on sort of you, your workplace, workforce, and everything like that.
Yeah, no, thank you, Pippa. Yeah, there is, again, could talk all day about it and different things and different ways of bringing this into the workplace for your employees and for the employers as well. So thank you for that. Just some wrap it up quickly, because I know we've sort of gone a little bit over time, so I do apologise. Signposting. So we've got the MEC link. If you don't know what MEC is, it's Make Every Contact Count. It's an NHS initiative. you can do some training. It's all for free. We do it at Wiltshire Council, and we'll come into your workplace. We'll do it via Teams. And it's about giving people tools to be able to have brief conversations with people about things. And a bit like today, you know, someone might just sit next to you while they're eating and say, "Oh, I've put on a bit of weight," and it's about how you can, you know, talk to that person and maybe signpost them or help them to really figure it out themselves, really, not give them a solution, just, you know, let them sort of come to think about it. It's a really good course. It's obviously used a lot within sort of the healthcare environment. We use it a lot, obviously, when we're coaching, but a really good thing. So if you're interested in that, please, you know, obviously contact myself or Pippa. We can signpost you or get you a course set up. Obviously, we do have the weight management, what I run through the Wiltshire Health Improvement Hub. We also have smoking cessation, so people who are smoking, and also emotional well-being. Like I said at the start, we do group work, and Pippa obviously is going to be looking at coming into the workplace and being able to deliver these sort of courses. It's a 12-week course at the moment, but that can be flexible and bespoke for individuals. And then you do have the Better Health NHS, which has got loads of general health and wellbeing advice. If you click on that, it's got loads of good ideas and stuff for just general health for yourself. So that's a really good link to have as well. And yeah, thank you very much for having us. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it a little bit, and I'm happy to answer any questions, or Pippa will.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Paul and Pippa. That was really, really brilliant. We really enjoyed that. Really appreciate your time. And if people do have any questions, please do pop them in the chat, and Pippa and Paul hopefully are sticking around and can answer questions at any point. But that was so engaging, really informative, and so much information there, as well as signposting to how to access support from Paul and from Pippa. And from the services. And I think you were going to mention.
Yeah, so it's worth mentioning that obviously this was like a bit of a perspective from the Wiltshire Council approach. You can get support for in a very similar way from Swindon Borough Council. So if you go to their let me just check what it's called, the Live Well hub in Swindon. That if you go on there on the Swindon Council website and look for the Live Well Swindon hub, there are equivalent services there for people who live in Swindon. So it's important that we
I should have mentioned that. Go on there. Yeah, I wasn't trying to sell our service, but yeah, definitely equally as good.
Both, isn't it, as well? Yeah. And we'll take on board your suggestions as well of how to keep healthier and keep moving at work. Me and Rob will start racing up and down the stairs just to.
I was going to do you my sit to stand challenge, but I'll let you off today. But yeah, maybe next time.
Okay. We did have one question we were going to ask about, particularly the slide around a healthy, balanced diet, and like you can allow yourselves, treats and things occasionally, and that will make your dedication to being healthier a bit more sustainable. I would assume. But we're wondering, we do hear a lot around. We've even heard talk of it in the office that people are doing certain sort of diets or following certain patterns, and I just wondered how do you think that really fits into a balanced diet when you have things out there like keto, for example, that's really concentrating on a food group and cutting out a lot of food groups. It's for people it's showing weight loss, and how do you think that really applies when we're also talking about a balanced diet, because it isn't that really?
It can be really, really tricky, and I mean, all these different diets, they do work if you put the time and you put the effort and the energy into them. They can work, but the key thing is they're not sustainable, which is why people keep on going back to doing like all these different diets, or the 5-2, going back to Slimming World, back to Weight Watchers. They'll stick to it. They feel really, really restricted in what they eat. They see some foods as sort of sin, sort of within terms of Slimming World, or however many points that are on there, rather than sort of seeing it for what it is. I mean, I know with Slimming World, for example, if you have a banana, that's a free food as such, but if you mash the banana and eat it, then that's however many sins in there, but it's still a banana. But so you've almost got this association. It's again with potato. If you eat a potato whole, no sins, but if you mash the potato, it's classed as a sin. So you almost get this really negative sort of association with food. But you know, these diets can be good, but I think we all know, I mean, I'm sure we've all tried to go on a diet at least once, if not more times in our lifetime, that we do it, we might stick to it for however many weeks, but then we're bored of it, or we end up having, you know, cake or chocolate, like, oh, you know, that's it, it's all over, it's ruined now, there's no point trying. And you keep on starting these diets because they're not sustainable. And when we talk about having a balanced diet, yes, the more balanced a diet you have, you know, still allowing yourself to have those, you know, cakes and chocolates, but just not too often, it means that the weight will still come off sort of slowly, but it also means you're not going to put it back on because you're changing things that are happening within your lifestyle. You're changing your mindset and concept about food.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. The golden thread that goes through your journey is that balanced diet, because that's going to be sustainable, like Pippa said, and it's going to change that behavior, and that's the most important thing, is changing those behaviors. I look at it like when I say I'm going training, sometimes there's like a training thing and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't mind trying that bit of CrossFit for 4 weeks, and I might do that because it's just a bit of variety and it's kind of just a bit of change. But what the most important thing is to make sure you are getting those key nutrients, you are having a healthy diet before you start trying any of these other types of diets as well. Make sure that, you know, medically you're healthy and fit to try, because sometimes that can also have an effect by doing it. So it's really important to seek medical advice before usually going on to these diets. But if you've got, you know, if you've got that base, that fundamentals, then yes, it's all right to do these other things, because you know you've got that mentally, you've got that behavior already there, that you can come back to your normal healthy eating, and not, you know, like Pip said, you know, Slimming as an example, you know, not Slimming World is very good for what it is, but it's when they leave Slimming World, that's when then they end up potentially putting more weight back on, or can put weight back on, because maybe they haven't had that chance to change that behavior. So just as an example, but it is good if you've got those fundamentals that you are doing already, to try these things, Weight Watchers, Slimming World, these keto diet, you know, fasting and things like that. But definitely it's worth
individual journey. Yeah.
I mean, one thing is just to bring this back on before we move on to Nikki, and that is, I think, a real key point here, especially from the point of view of when we're looking at how you can influence improved health outcomes in your work environment with your people and your staff and your teams, is that the link you made between mood and food, and the impacts that has on people's productivity and emotional states as well. And it was interesting you mentioned about sleep. We do actually have another session coming up, which is going to look at sleep and its importance in greater detail as one of our future subjects. So, you know, I mean, that's a couple of really important nuggets of information there for people to take away today and look at those correlations and how it can help improve productivity within the workplace, which is also going to lead to better health outcomes, better better work-life balance and so forth, happier staff. So really important stuff. So thank you, Paul, and thank you.
Rob is struggling with lack of sleep through cat-based shenanigans going on last night, and we're coming up with the really profound questions here of, you know, when is a banana when it's mashed, apparently. So how hilarious. Thank you so much, Paul and Pippa. So no worries. If we ask you to turn your cams and mics off for now, and any questions that people have for Paul and Pippa, do put them in the chat. And but now we are going to bring up our next speaker for the day, who is Nikki Edwards. If Nikki, you wouldn't mind putting your cam and your mic on. There you are. Look at that, as like magic. Here comes Nikki, lovely, bright Nikki. Thank you so much for being with us today, Nikki. I actually met Nikki.
I've got my happy jumper on as well today.
Oh, look at this. I've got rainbow too. I didn't even know it is. Look at us, very happy. So I actually met Nikki, Robert, networking event, and neither of us actually were tempted by the bacon sandwiches. So
Well, I did weaken. I did have a bacon butty.
after I
It was,
left.
it was on thick white bread, and I normally don't have white bread, so I had half a slice of bread, and then I squished all the bacon into it. So it was a healthier option of a bacon butty. But we refused the pastries. We did well. We did well.
Okay, there we go. So it's give and take. This is the message.
It's a balanced diet.
It's a balanced
It's a
diet.
balanced
A
diet.
bacon sandwich in each hand, yeah. So thank you so much, Nikki, for being here. Nikki is a personal wellness coach, and Nikki's going to talk to us today about her own journey and give us some advice as well as to how we can be making good choices and feeling better, basically, about ourselves. So Nikki, if I just share the presentation that we put together, then you should be able to take control through your screen. You should get a little option that says take control, and then you can flip through them and sort of talk us through. Let us know if that works.
Yes, I've got them.
Fantastic. Okay, all right, take it away.
So
Cheers.
let's start flicking through. So my journey, so I'm an individual, I'm self-employed, and my journey was really, it is my personal journey that I've got happier and healthier, really. So 3 years ago, this picture is just so me. It was, I'm a mum of 2 children of 14 and 26, so we just did one at a time. And it was, I just got a bit lost in motherhood, really, and I cared for everybody else, and I'm a carer for my mother-in-law who has dementia. So again, I was just at the bottom of the pile, and I was just absolutely drained. So you wouldn't let your phone die down because you need to recharge it, and you so need to do that as well to your body. And I think when you do that self-care, it's not, I used to think self-care was selfish. I'd see these mums go on holidays on their own, and I'm like, oh, I'd spend that money on taking the kids away, or something like that. But self-care, if you can care for yourself, then you can care for others better, and that is really true. And I think self-care is not just doing the food shop. Sometimes my husband, well, we've had a break, you've been food shopping, and that's not quite what I mean about self-care. But self-care is really, really important for your well-being, really. And also, I think when you do have it, the other phrase, most people don't have an idea of how good their body is designed to feel. It's a bit like having a car. If you put the wrong fuel in your car won't go. But you can put a little bit of wrong fuel in, like I did. But I thought, oh my God, it's the wrong fuel, and then topped it up with the good fuel, and the car's still going to go. So that phrase as well. So yes, it is. It's that having that lifestyle that yes. On occasion you can have the bacon butty or you can have the cake or whatever, but it's just not every day. And as I scroll through, so these pictures are 18 months apart. So I started 3 years ago, and I have some funky scales, and it tells you all about your visceral fat. So visceral fat is the dangerous fat that sits around your vital organs. So if you hold your weight around your middle, it's more dangerous to your health because it's more closer to your vital organs. So we're trying to reduce that down. And metabolic age is a process, again, on my little funky scales that I have. So it measures how, I think that the terminology is the measure of your body's function age. So that can be due to stress, pollution, food, drink, drugs, medication, sleep. Sleep's massive. If you're not getting enough sleep, like the others were saying, if you don't sleep enough, then your body's not rested enough, so you're going to crave more, and it's normally sugary foods the following day. So sleep is really very important. And when I got on the scales, I was horrified to know that my metabolic age was 60 when I was physically 47. So I was like, I look older than what I was, and I felt older. I was knackered. I napped quite a lot, and something had to change. So through foods, I eat 5 times a day. I have quite a lot of protein in my diet to help my metabolism burn fat and also build lean muscle. My 26-year-old doesn't like me at the moment because I have better muscle definition than what she does, which is lovely for me. And this is a picture of my trousers. So like sometimes you don't always see it when you see your face in the mirror every day and your body in the mirror, you don't always notice it. But the changes in my trouser size, as you can see, has been quite dramatic. And they were my work trousers. So again, it was just, I felt more comfortable in them. And 3 years ago, it was in COVID. And I used to say to people, the only thing that hugged me so tight was my damn clothes. So it's just really nice to have that freedom. And like when you are sat at a desk a lot of the time and you are feeling uncomfortable, it's just not very good it's just not a nice feeling. So as we move on, so the others were talking about water. Water, I think, is massive. I have my water bottle here. I have a litre one. I do have a 2 litre one, but it defeats me before I've even started the day, even though that I do drink 3 litres of water. I drink 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 1 in the evening. And it's surprising how much your body actually needs water. Your body needs a good 1.5 litres of water just to function. Those vital organs have to work. Your heart has to work. All your digestive system has to work. And if it's not getting that water, enough water, that's where people start getting tired. They get aches and pains. They can have headaches and bits and pieces because your vital organs are drawing that water in from wherever in your body it needs to draw it from. So it's one of those things I always say to people, like the other said, carry your water bottle with you. If you're in the car, if you're stuck in traffic, have a quick drink of water. If you go into meetings, take your water bottle with you. If you're reading emails, you can read and drink at the same time. I take my mother-in-law to dementia clubs. I take my water bottle with me. It's just always with me. It's always attached to me, so it makes it easier to drink. This one has time levels on it, so it can keep you motivated. And sometimes you think, oh, I haven't actually drunk enough and drink enough water. So yes, we drink lots of water. If you don't like it cold, like I cut fresh lemons, unwaxed lemons, slice them up, pop them in the freezer, and then I've always got fresh lemons available. So you could have them cut up and popped in the work fridge. You can have them hot. Like if you're anything like me, I get distracted very easily. So I might make a hot drink and find it cold, and I'm like, oh, blimey. I often find cold drinks in the microwave where I'll try to heat them up and then also got distracted and moved on, where a slice of lemon in water is nice hot, it's nice warm, and it's nice cold. So it's a bit of a win-win. So it's one of those things that, yeah, water is a massive thing if we can get in. If you increase your water quite quickly, what may happen is that you obviously wee a lot. But what that is doing, it's a bit like having a dry plant. If you water a dry plant, that water is just going to rush straight off. The more you water the plant, the more water is going to be retained in the soil and the more the plant will utilise it. Exactly the same with our bodies. You up your water too quickly and you're just going to pee it straight out until you can utilise that water. But it will happen quite quickly. So yes, 3 litres I go through quite easily in a day now. So it is a bit of a learned behaviour to do that. I still have teas and coffees, but I don't have as many of them as I used to. Caffeine can be a diuretic, so it's not great if you've got any bladder issues. I used to always say when I was in a working environment in a big office, there was so many, it was always countless cups of teas going on. It was like 1 tea, 1 wee, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't do this all the time. So having a drink of water is useful. So as we move on, so we were talking, still talking about water. Hang on a minute. There we go. As we have water, sometimes they say about having 6 or 8 cups of water, but I would forget how many cups of water I've had in a day. So that's why I use a litre bottle of water. It's easier for me to track it. And obviously, if you're a larger person, you may need more water to actually allow your body to function properly. If you're a smaller person, you may not need so much water. And then the other people or the other guys were talking about the sugar roller coaster. And that first picture of myself, I was unhealthy. I was type 2 diabetic, and I can really understand that sugar roller coaster. My breakfast would be a carby breakfast. which would then turn into sugars and send me on that blood sugar rush that I would peak, then drop mid-morning. I'd be looking for something sugary to eat. Again, the blood sugars would rise. Again, I would eat something. I would literally be clock watching until 12 o'clock so I could eat something. And this sugar roller coaster would kind of just continue all day long. So I was either on a high or a low. I would end up with hypos, which is just not nice at all. If you do have members of staff who do have hypos, it's just the most awful feeling. Like how they would affect me. My hands would shake. So some people thought it was a little bit like DTs or something like that. My hands would start shaking, my legs would feel weak, and I would feel like if I stood up, I would probably fall over. And that urge to eat something, because that is your body telling you you have to eat now, then you sometimes overeat, and then you send yourself back on that sugar roller coaster. So what we try to do whilst eating 5 times a day is to balance out your blood sugars. Have a less sugary breakfast in the morning. We normally have more protein in our breakfasts as well, and that sort of levels us out. So really leveled my blood sugars out. I've been in remission from diabetes for the last 2 years, which is just amazing. I've had 1 hypo in 2 years, and that's when I had COVID, and that's what triggered me to test, because I was like, oh, I don't feel very well, what's going on? My husband's like, I think you're having a hypo, and I was like, I'd forgotten what that feeling was like. So yeah, I take that very much as a win. I used to, the previous photo of my metabolic age at 60, I used to think 1 more cake wouldn't hurt, and it really did. It was damaging my health. I still have the checks as if a normal diabetic person would. Have my annual blood tests, and they are coming back fine, and they say, whatever you're doing, just keep going, because your body's really reacting well to it. And it's nice. I have the annual eye tests, so I have damaged the back of my eyes from eating too much sugar. I was a big sugar fan, and sugar's really addictive. So if we can try and cut that out from your diet, and have it as a lifestyle, that yes, I still have a cake every now and then, but it is now and then. It's not every day like it used to be. So if you can be balanced, especially workforce, you need your workforce to be balanced, and fueled as well going through you. There's no point in them being hungry, because that's something like, sometimes that's all you're thinking about is, I'm hungry. Oh, 12 o'clock, I can eat now. So it is balancing you out. We use quite a lot of protein, and that does keep you feeling fuller. Helps you also to drop body fat and build lean muscle. So like how mine was a diet to begin with, and it has turned into a lifestyle. But it allows us to build that lean muscle rather than just dropping body fat and looking. Some people can quite look gaunt if they drop too much body fat and they haven't built that lean muscle. So we want to be strong and lean. We're not aiming to be skinny. So yes, that's for those like skipping those ones. I do like a phrase. There's quite a few phrases on this one. People often say to me, well, what can I eat? And I say to them, don't eat anything you see on the televisions, because it's all going to be takeaways. It's all fast foods. It's Deliveroo. It's eat this. I don't know. I don't even have the apps on my phone. So it's one of those things that a lot of these foods are going to be low density, low nutrition foods, and high calorific foods as well. So it's really tricky to have. I mean, yes, takeaways. I say to people, if you are going to have a takeaway, then a chicken kebab's not bad actually, because it's chicken. It's got protein in it. You've got your salad in it, and then you've got some carbs in it, which is from the pita bread. The top tip I would say to people is to put your own sauce on it, because often the kebab people are a bit heavy-handed with the sauce, and again, that's where all the calories are going to come into it. If you're going to go for a pizza, I cut my pizza, I eat from the inside out, because most of the nutrition is going to be in the middle of the pizza and not in the crust. So people always tell me I'm not going to get curly hair because I don't eat my crust. And if it's too much, I ask for a box and I bring it home. Quite like a bit of cold pizza for breakfast. So it's those sorts of things. Often when you go to restaurants, the calories in those meals are just massive. So again, there's always tips. I always recommend people to look at a menu before they go out. If you're having work lunches, if you can look at the menu before you go out, then you can discount the high calorie menu items. I mean, sometimes some one meal, a main meal, could be 1,500 calories, which is massive. And then you're going to be falling asleep at your desk in the afternoon. So it is looking for, you can sort of discount those ones. Again, look at those healthier options. And I say to people, if you're going to have, you could have 2 starters and ask them to bring it out as a main meal. They're quite happy to do that. So those sorts of things are quite useful to be eaten out. The same, like, yeah, when they bring foods in, do you have to eat it? You don't know, you don't have to, but so don't push it on everybody else that you've got to eat all this food. And in the office, there's kind of people's birthdays, people come home from holidays and bring food home. It may well be, well, like for somebody's birthday, take some, like, I don't know, cheese and biscuits in, or some fruit in, or some other options. It doesn't always have to be donuts, which, like, is hard work. If it's there and you are trying to be healthy, it's a hard sort of thing to say no to people. And it's give yourself the same care that you give to others. I think a lot of us want to please people. Certainly, again, in the workplace, you want to please your bosses, your work colleagues, your customers that you're serving, but you need that self-care as well. So we often talk about this 80-20 process of like nutrition and workout, and it can be tricky when you're in a workplace and you are sat down for the majority of the time. Again, the other guys were talking about using the toilets on the other floor, which is great. I mean, I live in a 3-story home. I work from home. I use the top floor. Just get those extra steps in. I do have a watch that tracks my steps, and I know that if I'm not moving around the house, I don't get a huge amount of steps in. But getting up the stairs to go to the toilet is a useful thing to do. When you are in the office, parking a little bit further away from the workplace and walking a little bit further, getting off the bus a stop earlier and walking, using the stairs to go up and down to your office if you can. Yes, getting out at lunch times as the weather, well, not maybe today, but as the weather does ease up, getting out at lunch to go for a walk instead of meeting someone for a coffee and cake. Going for a walk and talk. You can still go out and have a nice conversation, eat your lunch when you come back, those sorts of things. Or when it gets light enough in the summer, I walk at 6 a.m. in the morning. I have a busy day during the day, so I can't get out. Evenings are not great for my mother-in-law, so again, I don't exercise in the evening. So it's trying to find that time that is suitable for everybody, and I just get up a bit earlier. So I get up at 6 o'clock, go meet a friend, we do 5-kilometre walk, we're back by 7 o'clock. You feel more alert, you're ready for the day, you feel productive, and it's a nice thing to go and have a chat. It's lovely in the mornings if you can do that, especially if you're office or home based as well, when you may not get to see people in the day. Going out to meet a friend is just a really good way. So you don't need to necessarily have a watch to track it. But there's lots of different ways that you can track your steps. So I quite like the height one. So if you walk with someone tall, just remind them that they're not actually getting all their steps in, because you're having to walk faster than they are. So what we're aiming is 10,000 steps, and that can be hard when you are in an office and you are sat. So it is just getting your backside moving a little bit more, and you just feel a bit more alert as well when you're sat and you feel just a bit sluggish because you just haven't. Sometimes you think, like, I haven't actually moved for 3 hours. So again, my watch tells me I think it's every hour to stand, but that may be just to go to make a cup of tea, have a little wander around whilst the kettle is boiling. We did a thing in lockdown where when we put the kettle on, my daughter and I, in between homeschooling, would see how many steps we could do, and our neighbours must have thought we were nuts, just sort of like running on the spot. Just getting yourself moving, getting your backside moving a little bit more. So yeah, there's lots of different ways that you can track your walking steps, even if you haven't got a watch to do them. So another quote: take care of your body. It's the only place you've got to live. You've got one body. You've got to look after it. Stop abusing it. Food is the most abused thing you can do to your body, really. If you're stuffing your face with food, if you're aiming for those sugary snacks, it's just not great on your mental health. We know that serotonin is created in your stomach, so what you put into your stomach is going to also affect how your head is. There's that huge link between gut and head health, your mental health. So the more colour you can get in it. So I try and advise people not to eat beige. So if you're having a meal, even when you're at home, or like nuggets, chips and beans, it's just beige. It doesn't look appetizing, doesn't look appetizing to your eyes. So people say that you eat with your eyes. But when it's all beige, it's just not appetizing. The more colourful you can get on your plate, the more appetizing it's going to be, the more vitamins, the more minerals you're going to have in there as well. So a nice colourful plate. You could still have maybe breaded chicken or something like that, but lots of salads and bits and pieces like that go there. So eat less crap and eat more food. So yes, we eat whole foods. I'm partnered with Herbalife Nutrition. We eat 5 times a day, so it is protein-based diet for that kind of lean muscle, and we add into meal replacement shakes somewhere in the day. And it's getting that more fruit and veggies into kind of like organic lean proteins. I would still say lean proteins. Organic is expensive. To eat healthy can be expensive, but we have lots of tricks and tips that we can use. Eggs are probably my favourite thing. You can have them in so many different ways. Not always great to take as a snack when you're in the office because you smell a bit eggy, but a good protein snack to have in there. But you can have that with some vegetables and bits and pieces like that, just to kind of give you a nice crunch, because there's that link between food that is crunchy and your head as well. So if you have very mushy food, again, you sometimes don't feel like you've actually eaten anything. You need a good crunch with that. On there, drink water. I will bang on to people about drinking water because it's just so good. It's free. Like, you can't get better than that. It's free and it's good for your body. So we again, like, there's a lot of overlap between myself and the guys that were talking earlier. We talk about portion control, and it doesn't necessarily need to be strict, but it just seems very different than kind of what size is your plate that you're eating from. And I always think about your granny's plate that was physically smaller, had that lip in it as well, that had gravy. Everything had gravy in back in the days. But we've lost the lip from our plates, and our plates have got bigger. So ultimately our plates are bigger, our portion size have got bigger, and we've got bigger as well. So same meal on a different size plate, and it looks kind of like the same. So you can fool your eyes by just using a smaller plate. I always say, if you have your hands spread out wide, because everybody's hands are slightly different, so their stomach size is going to be different, and so we can gauge that on your plate. So when you get home, measure your plate, see how big it is, and it may well be that you just use, like, we've got IKEA plates and all slightly different sizes, but I put the bigger plates at the bottom. If you have square plates, they are massive. So avoid square plates. Even if you just bought yourself and your partner one plate each that was just slightly smaller that you use, it's okay to see the white of the plate next to you. I think we've got so used to just filling the plate that you do fill it. So what you could be saying, oh, I'm still having salmon and veg and some salad and rice, but it's just too much. So what you can do, have a smaller plate, have a smaller portion, and that's going to make a lot of difference. We also recommend that people eat, if they can, before 7 p.m. at night, just to allow your body some time to digest that food. Again, it could be a healthy meal, but just eating too late and you go straight to bed, your body hasn't had time to digest it. So it can be tricky when you're in the workplace. So again, I can say, if you batch cook food, which is really good, because what happens when you're batch cooking, I know if I've got a recipe and it says half an onion or half a pepper, I know what I'm like. I will put it in a little tub in the fridge, leave it there for a week, and then chuck it away. So it's wasting food, and it's not great. So I would just do double the portions, or double it up, sort of thing. So you've got lots of portions, then you can just pop them in. Everyone's got little Chinese takeaway tubs at home. Great, pop them in the freezer, and then just take it out in the morning or the night before. And then if you know you're going to be working late, or you're not getting home until a bit later, then it's a healthier meal that you can pop in the microwave, but you know it's healthier because you cooked it from fresh. So there's lots of ways that we can get around it as well. So what we're going through, so the eating tips, as the guys were saying, they were yes, you've got You've got your vegetable salads, proteins, kind of carbs, fibre, gut health again is massive again. It's that real link. If we can make our tummies happy, our heads are going to be a lot happier. Also with fibre, dare I say it, if you're eating daily, you should be pooping daily. It is one tube. We know it's from start to finish. It is nutrition. I do talk about these. Because that's what it is. And if you're not digesting your food properly and you're not pooping daily, then again you're going to be uncomfortable, and that's not nice when you're sat at work and you're uncomfortable. So I'm just checking my notes to make sure I've said that. So yeah, nutritional dense foods. So if you had a snack that was 150 calories, well, you could have maybe like half a pack of jelly babies, or you could have some fruit and some salad, or carrots, bits and pieces like that, some protein, some cheese. There's always snack options to have it. If you're a savoury person, there's lots of protein items on the market now. I use quite a lot of the protein cheese. I started on mild cheese. I've gone to mature cheese, even though my daughter says I should eat immature cheese rather than mature cheese. But mature cheese, it's quite strong taste. I have a little, like a square bar of cheese. I cut it into 4 slices, like 4 chunks, and that will give me 4 snacks with some crackers or some ham or some pea protein crisps or something like that. So there's healthier options for snacking. With crisps, I say to people, a normal packet of crisps will give you 1 gram protein. Pea crisps in the supermarket will give you 4 grams of protein. Our pea protein crisp, no, all the peas, Laura, you will like that one. All the peas, our pea protein crisps have 12 grams of protein in them. So we are trying to up our protein. I saw the guidelines, you had guidelines of sort of 45, 50 grams of protein. I'm aiming for about 100 grams of protein, just to help me feel my body a little bit better. And I think it's one of those things that it is a lifestyle. And I think so many people go, oh, I'm going on holiday in 6 weeks' time. I want to lose 2 stone. And it needs to be a lifestyle. If you do a fatty diet, it's just not sustainable, because you're just going to run out of energy. You're going to run out of fuel of, oh, this is hard work. And then you'll kind of fall off the wagon as such. Where like with ours, like you can't really fall off the wagon because it is in moderation. And I started at 47, so you are never too old to set another goal or dream a new dream. I've just turned physically 50 and my metabolic age is 35, so my body thinks it's younger than I am. So people keep calling me Peter Pan, because they say every time they see me I seem to be getting younger, which is a lovely compliment, but I am physically getting older. And then this is a picture. So this picture was taken of me in Australia on Christmas Day. I was in my size 16 shorts that were so uncomfortable. And I wore shorts with my swimsuit because I didn't really want to show my thigh bits and pieces. And then I found my shorts the other day, and it's just nice to put them on and you think, oh my goodness, you can do it, and you can do it whilst you're at work. So many people say, but I'm sat down and out all the time, I can't do this. And you can, you certainly can. Get up earlier, go for a walk, park further away, walk up the stairs, use the stairs, get out talking to people as well. If you need to ask a colleague something, instead of emailing it, which can be like, people's meaning of emails can be taken like several different ways. But if you can talk to somebody, then you get an answer, and then you can carry on your day. So get out at lunchtime, get out in the evenings if you can, have a balanced diet, just lack of sugar. I think that sugar is the most addictive thing, and it is really hard, and I know it is really hard, but those small tweaks is really going to help your body, and your body is so going to thank you for it. It is one of those things, they say, you don't realise how good your body should feel. You fuel it right with a few tweaks, lots of water, and then it will be fine. And it is being patient about it. It's not like, the 6 weeks fix. Let's do it. Let's work together. I'm based in Swindon. I work with people online. I work with people in person as well. And it's amazing what they can achieve in 3 weeks. And I go, well, what can you achieve in 3 months or 6 months or a year? And having those little goals can really help. So the better kind of nutrition you put in your body, the better you're just going to function throughout the day, which again you're going to have a happier, healthier workforce, and that's ultimately what we want. So with bad foods, we saw in the previous slides that I saw a stat that 7 out of 10 doctor's appointments are due to poor food nutrition choices. So it could be high cholesterol, high blood pressure, like strokes, heart attacks, diabetes. All these things, majority of the time, are down to poor food choices. So if we can swap those food choices, then that is a lot of difference. A bit like if you go food shopping, try not to go food shopping when you're hungry. Hungry, you're going to just grab those foods that are going to be more sugary in taste. Have something to eat, then go food shopping. And sometimes it may well take you sometimes you go on autopilot because you're in a rush. Autopilot, grab, and then out. Sometimes it is just standing in the back of that and seeing what else is on the shelf. That may be a healthier option. It may be a little bit of label looking for first couple of shops, and then you get used to it. I have masses of protein snack ideas from Little Aldi, Tesco, Sainsbury's, all those sort of places. That I've done hard work. I've done that for people, so that is useful. And it's just swapping one cereal bar to a different brand of cereal bar, or even a different flavour in the same brand, can make quite a bit of difference. It's those little wins each time you eat, each day, each week, that consistency that's really going to help. So I think that is about it. That's it. So yeah, that's my details. I have my funky scales that I do love. I do love a geeky stat. Yes, it tells you your weight on it. Am I overly worried about weight? Not really. Everyone weighs something because we're on the earth and we've got gravity pulling us down on the ground. I want to know what your visceral fat is that is around your vital organs. This is a massive one. My first picture, my visceral fat was 11. Second picture, my visceral fat was 4. So I could feel it. I woke up and I was more energized. When it was 11, I woke up tired. I was tired during the day. I was tired when I went to bed because my organs were having to pump. It was almost like in wet concrete. They were really having to work hard to just function. And now that fat's been removed, they're just working a lot more freer. Gives you that energy to actually exercise. Because I hear so many times, I'm just too tired to exercise. If we can get your nutrition going in right, that will give you the energy that you need to then further to actually get your backside moving, to join the gym and actually use the membership. I hear so many times, oh, I've joined a gym. Well done. Have you used it? No. You need to use the gym if you've got a gym membership. There's no point wasting money on it. So you've got all the other stats there. Metabolic age, I love a good metabolic age, seeing that coming down. Bone mass, healthy bones. We want healthy, strong bones. And that's going to help you as you age and less sick days. So how was all my PPPs, Laura?
Very well presented for your PowerPoint, Nikki. Thank you.
And as a chatterbox, I've actually found a career that I'm really good at because all I have to do is talk.
Well, we appreciate it. We really enjoyed listening to you. Me and Rob were saying throughout that. Really interesting. Thank you so much, Nikki, and thank you also Paul and Pippa, all our speakers today. I really enjoyed that session, and everyone in the chat seemed to as well. So thank you so much for your time. Really useful.
Yeah, I think, Nikki, some really good points there. I think it's good to see it. We obviously had quite a high level of sort of like stats from the from Paul and Pippa's presentation. Lots of granular detail, and it's very good to hear your sort of like more personal journey side of things and how someone can apply that to their own health and well-being to make those changes. So it's really good to see both sides of the story on that. We are just up on time now, but if people want to drop any other quick questions in the chat, then please do so. Whilst we just wait to see if any do drop in. What are the next steps from today's session? Well, firstly, as we said at the beginning, these sessions are going to be available on our YouTube channel, on the Swindon and Growth Hub, Swindon and Wiltshire Growth Hub YouTube channel. So feel free to share those with your colleagues, with your team members, with your people, with anyone who you think might find that useful. We've already got our one helping people deal with smoking and addiction up already, so that's a great session there. There's obviously this one going to be up. Next up, we're going to be covering off
MSK, musculoskeletal health, and sleep will be our next session,
which is really interesting because we touched on those two sort of subjects a bit already today. So it's good that this is going to segue into that. In the end, there's going to be about 6 different sessions covering a lot more topics along the line. So yeah, please make sure you sign up for the next ones, and yeah, please use those YouTube channels, use YouTube videos to help people in your organizations and to get the message out there.
Because we want to be YouTubers.
Yeah. The next Logan Paul.
And thank you everyone for your comments as well. I think it's nice for the speakers to hear like sort of how well received that was as well. So yeah, really enjoyed that. Thank you. Please look out for our next sessions and come along and share.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye. Have a great day. Have a very well day.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Cheers.
Nikki. Well done. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Pippa.
Thanks.
I think I got everyone in there.
Thank you to the cat.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, yeah, Nova. Yeah.
My dog was fast asleep. She was probably snoring. I don't know if you could hear her, but she was snoring down here.
And so she'll be good for the sleep session.
Yeah. Okay, thanks everyone.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.